Hi everyone, this video will cover ACT 37, reading section, first two passages. Okay, as we usually do, if you look at the passage 1, which is about, fiction. So fiction is more about, storytelling. So you have to pay attention to the basic idea of what you can do is the subject, the who, what, and then why. And things like that is the one that you have to pay more attention to. And then when you do the questions, when you do this passage, you have to read the question first, and then hope to see what we can do from there too. Okay, so go to question number 1. It says, based on the passage, the fact that northbound train passes Orville, its way to Columbia could be considered ironic because Orville had just, so ironic and pass, and then number 2, referred in the passage occur first chronologically, first, and then regionally infer Selma's respond Orville 74 to 76. So go to 74 to 76, and then you put number 3 there, 74, 76, number. And then move on to number 4. It says, according to Professor Orville realized that he had spent his life running and then struggling with the question of directly result of, so life running, struggles with question. And then number 5, the last 2 paragraph, so 94, and then putting number, and what effect the sight of Persian hereded mention have. So the mention, the Persian hereded. And then 4th paragraph, line 22, most reasonably adult Orville. So 722 is 7. Which of the following question does passage answered? And then 9, make personification. And then Orville flashback to Summer's Day. 6. Okay. So let's do one by one. The reading the passage. It says that the title is The Spirit of the Place. So it's going to be like place. Columbia, next stop Columbia. With irony, inevitability, the Hudson Highlander northbound of Grand Central Station was veering from Treadle out over Hudson River back onto land. Orville glanced out right-hand window. At the top of hill, he saw Olana, a Persian turreted mansion, built by 19th century landscape painter. This Frederick church, its limestone face was creamy gold against the lowering sun. He felt a bite of nostalgia. Nostalgia is, looking back, thinking back, and grabbing his backpack from the overhead rack. And he walked to the space between the cars. He would be home in a couple of minutes. So now we see Persian turreted mansion. So that we see Persian turreted mansion from question number 6. It says the site of Persian turreted. This is about nostalgia, right? So it's F. It's kind of weird. Use this one. So it's F. And then move on to next. So no, he would not. The train screeched, slowed, re-screeched with a lot more whoop shuddered and fought itself to a stop. Orville and other passengers waited. No information was forthcoming. The air conditioning clicked off. Figures. Orville thought, I come 4,000 miles from Ora, Milan to Zurich to Kennedy to Grand Central. So it's like from like Italy to all the way to here, I guess. And then up to Hudson, 128 miles, a whole day of journey. And as soon as he poked up into sudden tip of this fall, a town thing break. So all the way come here. After another 15 minutes, Orbit had enough of Swelker Amtrak car. Amtrak is the train, right? And then figuring it was only a mile or so to town, he decided to walk. So he opened the door, jumped down from the car. Wet heat smacked him in the face like a big sweaty and blah blah blah. And then feeling good out in the unconditioned world, his shoes striking the cross ties with a soft, firm thunk. Orville stretched his arms out to the dome of sky, taking deep breath. He let his eyes easy down, blah, 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 and then Mike's pizza. And then he heard a whistle train coming toward him, sudden bound from Columbia. He moved off this inside the track and oh, I missed the number 7 here. Oh, sorry. We'll just do number 7 first and then we'll continue. So number 7, it says that based on the fourth paragraph, it can be reasonably inferred the adult Orville regarded in his hometown with a sense of so if you think about whatever sentence here, so so he was like waiting for the moment that he can come back home, right? So he's like coming all the way from Italy, and then the train stopped, and then this is the point that he's sort of like explaining about um, whatever the situation is. And then going back to the question, it says infer that adult Orville regarded his hometown. So right now he's really like unhappy with everything. So in contempt. So like no positive things you can see from here. And then move on to the passage that we've been like reading here. And then found the footing in the rocky shadow, line 48, I'm reading. Feeling the beat of hot air on his face, the train whistle echoed back off the mountains. He was sore, but okay. As he hauled himself up onto the track, he caught the acrid, the scent of creosote. And then it says all the way, if you read it, the next paragraph, it says the scent of this strong from the rail tracking train nearby. Alone, he stared up at this blah blah. First time in his life, he saw himself part of some whole world, which being, then okay, door slammed bang, behind him, and then Selma, the road large apron shaped looming over the stove, didn't respond, and then he persisted, dragging a chair over, climb up, and telling her again slowly and loudly, something else, Mom, I'm part of something else. Selma stared at him. She saw a cloud pass across the gazing at her gaze, and she sighed, Orville doll, there's nothing else but this. So number 3, if you go, it says Selma's response to Orville, nothing else. So it's not like something good, so really negative about it. So then Maybe some people can choose A, angered by Orville's outburst, but then let's leave it there a little bit more, and then I'm anxious to talk to Orville about his concerns, and then worried about her other children, nothing to do with it, resigned to her situation in life. So going back to this part, it says Orville though there's nothing else, and then she's like sort of like um, not really like happy with whatever situation she has because like she sighed. She's not like mad, angry to Orville. So that's why it's hard to say that angered by. So I'll say it's just like resigned. So it gave up on like the situation. Nothing else. And then move on. The boy felt rough, twisting, pain in his chest. He clenched down on it and trying to make it go away. He fought back tear. What's wrong, honey bunny? The dread was rising. The pain was going. He felt himself numbing up like his mouth did when he was at the dentist. He broke eye contact and feeling fear, blah, blah, blah. He now standing on the track and they realized that unspooled was near and then realizing that now there will be breakage. The train arriving, his sister meeting it and not finding him on it. He heard on as he rounded Mount Pecora, the visit north opened up. There across the marsh was his hometown, Colombia. And then go to number 5, setting of last 2 paragraphs. So if you think about the last 2 paragraph itself is still like the train track, right? Train, because it says that standing line 66, 86, it says standing on the tracks. So that's why might be going to Colombia right now. So, and then let's do one by one. Number 1, irony. So it's going home is going home is the whatever it is, but then it says the fact that the northbound train passed Orville and then could consider irony because Orville had just he get off of the train because he said that line it says line 26, right? Jumped down from the car because he wants to go like that's a faster maybe because he didn't want to wait, so that's why it is E. Okay. And then number 2, if you go yeah, the first one, like whatever happened first is the one that you the jumped feet first into a water or will lay on the back of the grassy field and then left Grand Central Station and Orville told his mom about discovery. So this is a pretty obvious, it is H. That's what happened in the first and then everything else after. Going to number 4, realizing he spent his life running and struggling to question directly. So it talks about here line here, right here, line 87, 8. It's an end of a thread that had unspooled all these years in life spent running a life restless with questions. So I mean, and then you have to think about the situation here that, whatever going on here is, after conversation with the mom, right? So if you look at the answer choice here, F, revelation he had had when he was a young adult, nothing to do with the crushing declaration made by his mom. Yeah, it is. Because nothing. She said that, nothing else. She doesn't have anything else. That was the moment that, he kind of like realized whatever going on. And then number 8, which of the following question does the passage answer? Um, F, how many years had passed since Orville has, we don't know. Why is Orville traveled back to his hometown? We don't know. Why does engineer South wave at Orville? I think so. Let us leave it there, and then I'll double check with the evidence. How old Orville when he first left his hometown? So let's check out the age for the evidence. I think it was in a way around when he got off engineer. Oh yeah, line 41. It says the engineer was waving at him and what at first seems greeting, but train seems past. He realized it was warning. So that was the one that way to choose. That's why it is H. And then personification, if you think about it, like, which one, um, A, temperature inside train car. Not really, like you don't see any personification here. And then B, Catskill Creek Inlet. C, the sound made by passing train. And then Mount Pecora. So we have to check one by one here, but then, in the first A, I wouldn't check with the A first because it doesn't sound really like personification. Maybe checking with the B, Mountain Pecora. If you go like line 92, as he round Mount Pecora, the visit north opened up. Doesn't really say much about. And then and then line 46, 47. Train, it says train 46. The train thundered past, shrieking like lunatic. Yes, the train is, shrieking like a lunatic. That's a personification. So that's why it is C. Yes. And number 10, the past Orville flashback summer day was 6 triggered by, it says something about the, let me see. Yeah, here, line 53 is all as a 6-year-old, right? So that's why this one has to be scent of creosote. Okay, so this is it for the first passage. And I'll move on to the second passage. So same thing that what we're going to do is we can think about the structure of the passage first, and then also, we need to read question first, and then we can think about the structure of passage, and then whatever we can do. So 11, context of passage, sometimes less than a mile diameter on this one. So line 13 and 14. 13, 14. This part, yes. And then we put it as 11. And then number 12, fixing in mind. So another one, fixing in mind. Oops. Let's put it like that. And then 12. 13 15, following ocean travel. So, okay, which of the following A? And then 5 to 10, nearly served. So 14. So this is like all about this area here. And then 15, 33. 16, infer from the passage that pollination canoe could journey over 2,000 miles. 2,000 miles. And then 53, 17. 18, made sport of. 52, 18. Not mentioned. 20, Beretta, this pollination, and this 54. And 54. That's 20. Okay, let's read now. This is like a lot of reference lines, so which is probably like the Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa are islands of Polynesia. Polynesian immigration to Hawaii was part of one of the most remarkable achievements of humanity, the discovery of settlement of remote, widely scattered islands of Central Pacific. The migration began before the birth of Christ, while Europeans were sailing close to the castellans of continent before developing navigational instruments would allow from them to venture onto the open ocean. Voyagers from Fiji, Tonga, and Samoa began to settle islands in an ocean area of over 10 million square miles. The settlement took thousand years to complete, involved finding and fixing in mind the position of islands, and sometimes less than a mile diameter, in which highest landmark was Coconut Tree. By the time European explorer entered the Pacific Ocean in the 16th century, almost all the habitable islands been settled for hundreds of years. Okay, so first paragraph, we have to deal with the 11, 12, 14. So 11 first. It says, why they have to put this less than a mile of diameter and then blah blah blah. Because this is like really narrow, less than a mile diameter. Like if you think about it, on Earth, this is nothing really, like really really small. That's why small tiny island. Because of that, it is hard to I guess difficult locating island itself, Central Pacific. Because like Pacific is all like empty, like with water. But then few like dots that you can see, small tiny islands. And 12, fixing in mind mostly means. So if you go like 12, fixing in minds, it says from 11,000 years to complete and involve finding and fixing in mind the position of island. So which means previously they thought that um, I mean, fixing in mind, they put that in mind, whatever the location in their mind. So they try to remember that. That's why it is that. And then question number 14, statement 5 to 10 nearly serve to provide contrast between the European and Polynesians, how they actually like came. I mean, Polynesians come first and then European come later. So that's why it's J. And then second passage, voyage was all more remarkable that it was done in canoe built with a tool stone borne corral, blah blah blah. So describe about all like the journey itself. And then also line 34, if you go out before then, it says question number 15. 15. So why they have to put this second paragraph? As I said earlier, like how they came to this, the journey itself. So which means um, D, okay, the navigation of all this stuff, yeah. And move on to next paragraph, 34, line 34. Canoe was paddled with no wind, sailed when there was salt or woven from the coconut or pandanus leaves, and like 2,000 miles along the Sesame Sea road to Polynesia, such that Hawaii and Tahiti, and then blah blah blah, and 3 miles to our two. And then 45, after visit to Society Island in 1774, Spanish Captain India Varela. So Varela is the one that we saw from the question. It was question number 20, right? It says, when Varela described Polynesian canoes sold during the visit to Society Inn, he must specify being that. So if you think of, I mean, we have to read through like everything here so we can understand. And then more skillful builder, a shocked to see craft having no more breadth of beam than 3 span carrying spread of sails so large as to beat one of the hours with a beam of 8 or 10 span, blah blah blah, make sport of wind. And then okay, so let's go to 17 first, because I put the 17 here first. It says Varela, quote, expressing amazement after British Society Island overseeing Polynesian canoe that featured a, because it says that yeah, line 48, shocked to see craft having no more breadth of beam than 3 arms span, carrying spread of sails so large as to defeat one of ours with a beam of 8 or 10 span. So which means it gives us an idea of like different scale, right? So which is D, you can find. And then 18, it says make sport of. Make sport of, if you actually like think about next sentence, it says the waving through the gale, and then these canoes are as fine forward as edge of a knife. So which means, and then it says, so they travel faster than the swiftest. So you can go fast. That's what it meant. So pass through with ease. G is the answer for this one. And then move on to the next paragraph. Also, if voicing was by no means easy, there was always dangers of this, heavy seas, and blah, blah, blah. Calls against a sea rock, and then, yeah, the difficulties, stormy nights, and then during the long voyage. And then next paragraph, long voyage, not just the physical, but mental challenging. So now, like mental part, particularly without compass and chart. In the next paragraph, to keep track of their position at sea during the night, navigator used system of dead reckoning, memorizing the distance and all that stuff. So you see. And then it says 985, the navigators also watch for changes in swell patterns, clouds piled up over land, and all those things you can see. Let's go to question number 13 to make clear that unlike voyagers from Polynesian European explorers didn't travel into open ocean until which of the following aids to ocean travel were developed. So obviously the navigational like thing, the one of the remarkable thing that the Europeans noticed from this is how they can actually like travel without, specific navigation. So line 5, you see here, It says while Europeans were sailing close to coastline, right, continent before developing navigational instruments. So then, without that, they wouldn't travel around. That's why it is B. And then move on to number 16. 2,000 miles would most here. So we look around where we can find the idea of 2,000 mile is here, line 37. So so if you go here, 2,000 miles and blah blah blah, and though these double-bulled canoes have carried capacity, then so that they talked about, they try to like say something about whatever double-bulled sources F for this one, and then 19, not mentioned in the condition of events, threat to the safety of early coordination voyages in Central. So starvation, lack of rainwater, and collision, other ship, extreme cold night, and fierce wind. So it mainly talks about natural thing. So it says line 60 around this area that you can see all those difficult things. It says fierce wind, right? And then also stormy nights and things like that is the one that you can see. But we don't see anything about collision with other. It says something about rock, not the other ships. And then finally, number 20, all nations you saw during the visit, is anything flying forward on edge of knife. That means, like it's really like like edge of knife, really like sharp, and then it can go like narrow things well. I guess that's what it's saying in that area as well. Like if you see line 54, they travel faster and swiftest of our vessel. They are marvelous and all. So they're like in a very, very narrow, like in the front, so they can go faster. So that's why, let me see, this question has to be, streamlined, which is H. That's why it can go fast. So this is it for first two passages of reading section of ACT 37. So I will continue to record for next two passages as well. So we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.